I think it's dealer's choice this week. What have you got on your brain?
Well, I've got some interesting things that I thought maybe we could do a little quiz, a little pop quiz.
Oh gosh, okay.
And
I'll do my best.
are you a millennial?
Technically speaking, I suppose I would be considered. I don't know. I was born at the end of '89, so yeah, I believe technically speaking, I would be considered a millennial. But I feel like the term millennial is more or less used to qualify a type of mindset more than an age. We determine it by age, but I think it's more of a mindset, personally.
Okay, so the mindset that I've seen for a lot of millennials are that the narrative is that fossil fuels are dirty, and it's like jokeable to where it's kind of quid pro quo. It's just part of the nomenclature, if you will. Is that fair to say with millennials?
I feel that generally speaking, yeah, that sounds approximately right to me.
Okay, so the reason I say it in that context and in that way, because now I'd like to bring up a few things here that in 2002, due to global warming, we were going to have famine in the next 10 years, according to a sponsored message by who?
Um, Gosh, our government? I'm not sure.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sponsored that message that we were going to have famine in 10 years. Chicken Littles hatched all over the place. And at what age were you in 2012? I mean, if you were born in 89, you were at a pretty impressionable age. And here's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is pretty well respected, has access to all the big medias and that sort of thing. And they give large donations to people to go out and spread the word. And this was one of the words that they were out spreading in 2002, famine in 10 years, according to climate change. Also, 2008, guess who said the Arctic was going to be ice-free by 2013?
Yeah, wasn't it Al Gore?
That was
Or
Al Gore. We got a winner. That's right.
There was a few people saying that.
But Al Gore was exactly the person that was going around in 2008 saying the Arctic would be ice-free by 2013 if we do not act now.
I actually think that there was a video in one of my classes in high school that contained his message.
There was. And so due to his public trust and due to his access to the media and through the government agencies, people like you were told that. And you're in school, presented with, this is where the term propaganda comes from. This is the actual living, breathing definition of propaganda is what's going on here. In 1989, the United Nations went out on a campaign saying that the rising seas would obliterate nations by the year 2000. In 2009, Prince Charles said we only have 8 years left to save the planet. And in 2009, the UK Prime Minister actually said and used the media and the public trust and went out and said we have 50 days to save the planet from the catastrophe. I mean, these are the people who are running governments, countries. These are the people who have the public trust. These are the people who have access to all of the police forces, all of the authoritative voices. They're the ones who are telling everybody that if we do not save the planet in 10 years, we're all going to be done. And that's what's going on, really, is the Chicken Littles of the world. I brought this up to Carl last week, where if you go to the Bible, and I was a former Sunday school teacher. I taught Sunday school for 8 years. I was a Catholic school altar boy. And so I did absorb quite a bit. And the one thing about the Bible is that it said we're supposed to be wanderers of this planet, so we're not supposed to stay in one place. But at the same time, we're also caretakers of the planet. And that's what the environmentalists have really done, is they've taken in that whole narrative that the Bible has taught Christians and other religions through generations of original sin. And here we are, we're destroying the planet like we're destroying the Garden of Eden through original sin, and we need to save ourselves and save this and everything along those lines. And so that's where I see the parallel, and that's why I bring up the biblical part, is because that's what my training has been, actually, to where I just see those narratives. And now the Chicken Littles have been around since the book of Revelations. But right now, I mean, for some reason, we got presidential candidates who are leading the pack that honestly believe that the planet is going to go away in 10 years. That's what they're telling people. That's crazy to me. I just don't get that. I don't understand that. So there we go today. How's that?
Well, you know what? I tend to agree with you, and I feel like I might have said it to you before, but I feel like it's arrogant. I think it's a bit pretentious to think that we have that amount of control over the entire ecosystem of the entire world, to the extent that we could see it in a brief, foreseeable future, a cataclysmic event that we brought upon ourselves. I think that it's arrogant that we would think that we are that powerful. That being said, I do think we need to take better care of our environment. I think that people are just lazy. And I think that the focus that we've taken when it comes to protecting our environment is wrong. I think that generally the focus comes to whose fault it is rather than what we can all collaboratively do about it on a scale that everyone would be able to utilize. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this.
You don't need to be drastic. It's just quit being lazy. Like, throw your trash away.
Right, but people don't want that. People want drama. People want cataclysm. People want that. That's how people are. I've said it before. Go to a dinner party. Go to a Christmas party and say everything's fine. Everything's doing great. People leave. They don't. They don't want. They don't want to talk to you about everything's doing great. They don't want to talk to you about things okay. No, they want drama. And some people actually get mad. Like, what do you mean things are great? What about climate change? I mean, they'll actually introduce like polarizing, dramatic topics into your life if you try to just enjoy yourself. So people are generally like that. So there's that kind of pandering that's going on. But your age group, how does somebody change the attitude? The attitudinal change, if you will. To me, that's the million-dollar question, because you were raised on believing fossil fuels were dirty, when the fact of the matter is scented candles and aerosol spray and bug spray and all these different things that we use in our daily household spray cleaners and that sort of thing, that's what makes up 50% of the pollution outside, actually, is that. And, and then there's even bigger topics like, okay, if you want to get really technical, if everybody adopted a vegetarian diet, the car thing wouldn't even be an issue at all, because of everything that goes into producing livestock and the land use and the transportation and everything like that. But that we're talking about swift societal changes, which they don't happen. That's a tough. I mean, you can't change people like that. So I mean, what do? They just go after an industry instead. So we'll just shift the jobs. It's just to me, it's very odd that how does somebody your age shift that away? Because right now in Colorado, for example, they don't even include oil and gas as part of the energy in there. With their junior high kids in part of their schooling and things like that. They don't even teach them about it. Like, it's just like literary genocide just gone.
Unfortunately, yeah, I see that in a lot of things, not even just the oil and gas industry. Literary genocide is actually a wonderful term for such a terrible travesty, but it's happening. It's like, if we just ignore it, it's going to cease to exist, and that's not in fact the truth. And unfortunately, with topics like this, where people have such, passionate views, on one side of the issue or the other, it's not something that, there's going to be a quick fix in how to shift the mindset. I think that, unfortunately, the only thing to do in order to hope to switch the mindset is proceed through persistence and patience and education, because ignorance is the real enemy here. If people had the fact about things, there would be a huge difference, I feel, in the mindset of where the issues are versus where we think they are.
It's very difficult though when you're introducing emotion and feeling into science, and that's what's happening here. Is the environment, climate, and that sort of thing should not be
shouldn't be emotional.
It shouldn't be emotional. No. It should be a science-based thing. And they haven't even had a model that's been able to predict a 10-year span of climate, for example. So the fact that they want people to sacrifice and pay 10 times the amount and give away their liberties, all for models that have been unproven, to me is not a good idea. I think that, to me, that is much more of the issue, as opposed to we have 10 years until the planet is going to die. The planet ain't going. As the great philosopher George Carlin said, the planet ain't going anywhere. You are. And that's the truth, is that when the planet is done with humans, the planet will rid itself of humans in one way or another. Here's a few things to keep in mind. 1970 is when all of a sudden the atmospheric research, the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, started looking into their smoggy crystal ball. They started using, adjectives in there with their science. So the smoggy crystal ball in 1970, and then in 1971, everybody said the ice age was going to come in 5 to 10 years. 1972, the new ice age by 2070, says the National Oceanic Agency, NOAA. 1974, cover of Time magazine, new ice age coming fast, as they talked about the increasing ice girths and the armadillo migration as proof. And let's just put the animals in there now. So we're starting to put in smoggy crystal balls, adjectives into our press releases in science when we're for government agencies. And then Time magazine now is starting to humanize the weather by armadillo migration. They're migrating from the Midwest. And then in 1976, National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, once again started citing climatology consensus science, is when they started saying most scientists agree. So it's been coming out since about the 70s, where they've been really programming us and getting the narrative to the point to where it's at. And to me, I think it's almost conspiracy level. I mean, it is a very beautifully masterful plan that's been executed. And if not, wow, they have had some great dumb luck fall together of pieces in place. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things to where if it's not done on purpose, wow, boy, that is better odds than winning the lottery, the way that all the pieces fell into place so that they could currently be doing and having what they're doing now. I mean, think about it. Right now, you got a 16-year-old girl who has autism, Asperger's disease, syndrome, and she is now the new spokesperson for climate change. And she's the one that got invited to the UN, not scientists, a 16-year-old. That's reality. That's where we're at. And to me,
there are a lot of pieces of reality that I question right now.
Well, I know, and I'm not saying it's good or bad or indifferent. I'm just pointing out that's reality. Now, I can get on my soapbox and start carrying, and then that's when you guys start laughing and saying like, "Oh man, he's at it again," that type of thing. But that's honest to God. That I try to actually take a very sterile approach to it first, and just say, okay, where are we at here? Okay, we just had a big UN thing about 2-3 weeks ago, and to my knowledge, there wasn't really any scientists that got the headline in terms of where our planet was at. The media and the conference really showcased and made sure that the narrative was from a 16-year-old girl from Sweden. That's incredible to me. That's like I don't even know how, I mean, it just leaves me speechless, to be honest. It's just yeah. So anyway,
well, we probably better wrap it up. We're
I know.
A bit over, but this was a good topic. Dealer made a good choice.
Yeah, we're going to call it old man radio pretty soon. Just some guy sitting at the bar stool just shaking his fist and complaining. But no, this is one thing I'm very passionate about is the responsibility behind the media. And a lot of this doesn't happen without the media. And the media should be the eyes and the ears and the protectors of the people. And what they've been in the last 20, 30 years is really the accelerant and the catalyst for special interests to spread fear into the lives of people. So that's my message today. There we are.
Well, thanks for the talk. I enjoyed it.
You bet. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Hey, well, yes, sounds good. You have a wonderful week.